strength, confidence, lean muscle, a faster metabolism, stress reduction. These are some of the well-known benefits of strength training. But power training is as important, if not more important, than traditional strength training and cardiovascular exercise for men over 40 who want to stay strong, capable, and confident well into their 50s and beyond. Strength is about how much force you can produce. Power is about how quickly you can produce that force. After high school or college sports, most guys stop sprinting, jumping, or doing anything explosive. As a result, power is one of the first metrics of fitness that they lose. And with it, their strength, their athleticism, and sometimes even their confidence in physical situations. It's also a greater predictor of longevity than strength. Today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the benefits of power training specifically for guys over 40. My name is 𝐬𝐭𝐬𝐿. I'm the founder of Functional Aesthetics of Eau Claire. I have over 2 decades of experience designing smart, innovative systems to help people with busy schedules get stronger, leaner, and more athletic in less time. A 500-pound squat or running a marathon might look good for social media, but equally impressive is a windmill dunk or still being able to beat your teenage son in a foot race. Most fitness programs focus primarily on one dimension of fitness. Runners have excellent endurance, but are often weaker than your average person off the street. Powerlifters often have excellent strength, but their endurance is often subpar. Bodybuilders have a nice mix of both strength and endurance, but often lack power or that explosive strength. Now, this explosive strength is important for everybody, not just athletes. Think about if you're moving a piece of furniture and you lose your balance, or the weight shifts while you're lifting it. Power is going to help you to not only produce force quickly, but also to decelerate force in an unstable environment. Such as, for example, if you slip on the ice in the wintertime, instead of pulling a groin muscle, you're going to be able to decelerate that force and turn it back around, going the other direction. You're going to be able to regain control of your body faster. So, you don't need more time to get in shape. Instead, you need to be focusing on a holistic approach to fitness combined with synergistic nutrition like I've talked about in previous videos. If you want to remain strong, lean, athletic, and capable into your 40s, 50s, and even your 60s and beyond, you need to be adopting a holistic approach to fitness. Having extreme strength or extreme endurance is really cool, you know? I get impressed by seeing these people doing these extremely heavy lifts or running really far, right? But achieving those levels of sport-specific or in a certain kind of fitness at a very high level requires a lot of time, and at the same time, it means that you're neglecting other aspects of fitness that are equally important to your overall health and your ability to remain athletic and healthy for years to come. All right, so let's get into some of the benefits of power training for guys like us. In subsequent videos, I'm going to be diving deeper into the specifics of each of these benefits, but I'm just going to give you a broad overview today. So first and foremost, and probably not surprisingly, power training helps with the preservation of the size and conditioning of your fast twitch muscle fibers. So you have 2 primary forms of muscle fibers in the body. You have the slow twitch, which are the ones that use the oxidative system. They use primarily fat for fuel. So if you're running a marathon, you're using a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers predominantly. Towards the end of, let's say, like a bodybuilding workout, maybe you're using more of the slow twitch muscle fibers as well. When you are doing things of a moderate length, maybe you're using a combination of both. Fast twitch muscle fibers, though, have the greatest capacity for both size and strength, and also power. So generally, if somebody is really good at sprinting, they could probably have a good career in either powerlifting or bodybuilding as well, because the kind of muscle fibers that predominate for somebody who excels in sports that are about explosiveness and power and speed also translates over well to the other strength sports, because it's a similar kinds of muscle fibers. So strength training is going to help you to develop increase the strength and maybe even the size of those muscle fibers. The power training is going to help you to be able to use that strength efficiently in an athletic context. In other words, how fast can you produce the force, as I talked about before. Another benefit of power training for us is the preservation of athleticism, right? So having the agility, the ability to stop and go quickly, right? Go one direction really fast, stop, turn around, go the other direction really fast, right? Those things are important for, like I was saying before, not just for, chasing the kids around the yard, playing some, pickup basketball, playing some soccer, football or whatever, those kind of things. It's also important for, if you are trying to lift something and the weight shifts and starts slipping, being able to catch it, preventing it from, before it, you lose control of it and not tear a muscle in the process. That's something that power training can help you to do. And for guys who are like, all I care about is just getting really strong, well, you'll be happy to know that power training helps with strength and vice versa. So if you become more explosive, you're also going to be able to become stronger as well. I'll give you a sneak peek into what I'm going to be talking about in the video specific to that, but one of the examples of this is when you're doing a squat or bench press, particularly like squats and bench presses, right? In the bottom of the movement, so like you're not trying to intentionally go slow, but because the weight is heavy, the weight tends to move slow. But when you're going down in a squat or with a bench press, you come down to the bottom position, your ability to come down and then quickly reverse the direction of that weight, in other words, turn all those muscle fibers on really fast, is going to help you to blast through the sticking point, which is typically at that bottom position and then here, right? So if you can explode out of the bottom position, it's going to help you to improve your overall strength capacity as well. And then there's some crossover too from strength to power, which we're going to talk about in some other videos. Now this one might come as a surprise or not, but cardiovascular health. We often think about improving the health of your heart, the health of your lungs, your cardiovascular system by doing things like jogging and walking, right? Lower intensity, longer duration. But in fact, things like power training is explosive, so going and doing some sprints, jumping, that'll get your heart rate jacked up really fast, right? Even doing, any sort of explosive things. If you go and do some sparring, right, where it's just a flurry of quicks, kicking and punching real fast, then you go back, that's going to get your heart rate up really fast. In fact, sometimes power training can actually be as good or even better for conditioning your heart and your overall cardiovascular system than traditional low-intensity forms of cardio. The downside of this, as I'll get into in a future video, is in more details around this, is that sometimes you actually, yes, there is a lot of benefit. It produces a lot of bang for your buck with doing the power training, but it's also stressful on your nervous system, and if you're not allowing adequate recovery, it can be stressful on the joints and the tendons and stuff, right? This is not to say that it is inherently bad for your joints or that it's inherently bad overall. Instead, I'm saying that you shouldn't be relying on it as your primary form of cardio, right? So you can do this like maybe once or twice a week, you're doing some power training, right? I would prefer maybe once a week, right? And it really depends on what your overall goals are. And then the rest of the time, most of your cardio should just be walking, right? Maybe you do a couple of, jogs, or maybe do some cycling a couple times a week or whatever. The rest of the time you should just be walking. And then you can do some of the sprints and some of the jumps, and it is going to have as good or if not better effect on cardiovascular health than those lower intensity forms, but the lower intensity forms of exercise are going to have less impact and they're more sustainable over time. Because you don't want to just do something for your heart or your lungs one day of the week and then forget about it the rest of the week. Next up is mental health. Now, all forms of exercise are going to have some positive benefits for mental health, right? So when you're going out for a walk or you're going out for a jog, those shock waves, from your feet into the ground, they come back up through the body, they stimulate the brain. It helps you to have more creativity, right? And power training is no different. So power training, not only like, I mean, just from a purely like, not even necessarily like, I guess it's all psychological, right? But from the psychological standpoint of, there's just something, you know, that instills confidence. When you have the ability to sprint quickly, to, you know, jump, to kick and punch and be, you know, explosive and powerful, that's automatically going to do a lot for your confidence as a man. But irregardless of all that, even if you don't care about being athletic in that context, it also increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, right? And this helps you to have greater executive function, so you are able to plan and organize your thoughts better, helps with learning and memory. And so it's gonna not only help you to have more confidence, right? Help to release stress, but it's also going to help you to operate better in a day-to-day context as well. Next up, we have hormone health. Power training is probably one of the best ways to stimulate anabolic hormones as well as fat-burning hormones. So you're going to be stimulating things like testosterone, also human growth hormone and adrenaline. Human growth hormone, adrenaline, and testosterone are going to help you to burn fat more efficiently. This is going to help you to preserve lean muscle mass and also help to improve your body composition in the long term. And as well, we know that there is an afterburn effect. You know, when we do HIIT training, right? It's very popular, you know, you do those HIIT classes. Now, this is often not true high-intensity interval training because they are often going from one exercise to the next without much rest in between. That's more of a conditioning, building your endurance and your stamina rather than actually true HIIT training, which is all out, you know, as hard as you can go for 5 to 10 seconds. And then you take a couple of minutes break, and then you do it again. You maybe do like 4 or 5 sets of all-out maximal work, followed with a couple of minutes of rest in between these things, so that your ATP, or the energy within those cells, can regenerate, because it takes several minutes for that to happen. And that's why if you are not resting for several minutes, you're not doing true high-intensity training, because your biology physically will not allow it. So when you are doing this HIIT training and stuff, though, or the sprint training, the power training, it is going to help ramp up those levels of anabolic as well as fat-burning hormones for you. And then, lastly, there is a strong correlation between gait speed and your risk of falls, right, in older age. So you're probably not thinking about this. If you're 40s, 50s even, maybe even your 60s, you're probably not thinking too much about, oh, I'm worried about falling, right? Or I'm worried about slipping on the ice even in the wintertime, you know? I'm not too worried about these sort of things, but I know preemptively, like, your health, you know, 2 decades from now is determined by the things that you are starting to do today, right? Because investing in your health, it's something that it doesn't just all of a sudden, you know, you retire and at 65 and you're like, well, now I have time to invest in my health. It's time to start taking care of myself, and now I'm going to start doing it. Number one, if you haven't been doing anything until you're that age, it's not too late, but your health is going to be worse, and so your motivation and your energy levels and your enthusiasm for going out there and trying to improve your fitness is likely to be much less. If you're not doing anything for your fitness now, it's not very likely that once you retire, all of a sudden this switch is going to flip and you're magically going to start doing stuff for yourself then. So if you want to ensure that you're going to be less likely to fall when you're 70, 80 years old and break a hip or something like that, working on your power now, improving your nervous system, it not only, like, it's also, there is sometimes we jump back to the thing about cognitive health, right, or mental performance, is that power, actually, there is a tie-in between reduced risk of getting dementia when you are older, simply because of that nervous system stimulation, which, yes, it's in your body, but that ties into in the brain as well, because the brain and the body, they're all linked together. You know, they're not separate entities. They're all they all speak to one another, right? And so what you're doing in your body is going to have crossover to your brain as well. So if you want a healthy brain, if you want to avoid getting that dementia later on in life, not only are, you know, focus on eating anti-inflammatory foods, getting more fish oil, things like that, more creatine for brain health as well, but also what are you doing with your body? That's going to be just as important too. So what they've shown is that when you lose power, you know, you're getting, like, power is not even just the sprinting, but how quickly do you walk, right? And so if you're an older person, you're still walking around relatively quickly, that's going to be much less likely that you're going to be at a risk of falling, right? And then if you do end up slipping or falling, your ability to respond quickly to that, right? To not only produce the force rapidly, but also to decelerate it. So, to catch yourself if you're falling, to be able to shoot your leg out real fast if you find yourself starting to fall. That's something that comes intuitively to us when we're younger, but as we get older, we start to lose that capacity. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today's video. Like I said, I'm going to be diving deeper in subsequent videos on each of these benefits. Some of them I'll combine together because they can all be kind of covered in one video. But hopefully you got some value out of this, a little bit of a counterintuitive take on power training from like the mainstream of what you will often hear, but it is all in the literature, and I think it is good to start thinking about these things ahead of time to improve your quality of life so that you can remain living a high quality of life for decades and decades to come. If you like the content on this channel, or if you're interested in getting more information in regards to building muscle and strength, losing body fat, improving athleticism, how to eat for fat loss or muscle building or athletic performance, and then lastly, how to prevent getting injured when you are working out, and if you do get injuries, how to work around them, then this is going to be the channel for you. Go ahead and hit the button in the lower right hand corner of the screen to subscribe, and if you got value out of this video, it would really help the channel out if you go ahead and hit the like button as well.